Hello audiophiles, I am Wave Theory, back today to do another headphone review. As I have said before, I am new to doing sound reviews here on YouTube, but have been doing written reviews of sound gear on Hi-Fi Guides Forum and Headphone for a little over a year now, so I will put links down below to my review work there. So today we are talking about Focal Stellia, the nearly 3,000 US dollar closed back dynamic driver headphone from Focal. Right, and it uses beryllium drivers in here in Focal's M-shaped dome shape and all of that. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on the build quality, the fit, the comfort, and all of that because it's a Focal headphone. They've been around for a while. They have a reputation for build quality in their headphones, for an eye for aesthetics in their headphones, and just general comfort, staying on the head and whatnot. And the Stellia has all of that. Like it's right up there with the best of them in terms of build quality. Aesthetics is always in the eye of the beholder, but I mean it's a good looking headphone. All that. So let's talk about sound. Now it is a closed back headphone, right? And that comes with some inherent limitations. Like, for one thing, don't expect a huge open soundstage, that sort of thing. However, for a closed back, this really does sound pretty open and large-ish in soundstage. I mean, I don't want to be misleading here because you're not going to get like open back hi-fi-man like size soundstage here, but it's pretty good for being a closed back. It has excellent excellent imaging and separation within that sound field. Like a good example would be Eagles, Seven Bridges Road, that live recording, like the sounds of voices cheering and people clapping in the audience around that thing is just like all around you and sounds really cool. So again, kind of that 360-degree bubble sound field like Focals have. Now, another thing that it does, let's talk signature next. So the sound signature is going to be mid forward. Okay, there is a little bit of an emphasis on the mids in the upper mid range, lower treble range. And that can be a double-edged sword. There is a lot of detail and clarity in the mid range and all that, but it can be a little bit forward. And for me, it gets a little bit shouty and honky at times. And I've been talking to some fellow audiophiles recently as well, and they bring up the same complaint, that the upper mids, lower treble region is just a little bit too far forward here, which gives this a little bit of a bite in that range and also messes up the timbre. And it's unfortunate because bass and treble extension on this thing are really great. Bass and treble timbre on this thing can be really great, but that really important mid-range that's in the upper end of vocals, it covers some like pianos and stringed instruments and guitars and whatnot, messes up the timbre a little bit. However, all is not lost. Resolution on this thing is very good. Okay, I especially noticed that with like some bassists. Bass players who play aggressively, like John Entwistle of The Who, or Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, or even Geddy Lee of Rush at times. Like the upper harmonics and overtones of the bass strings, like each individual pluck and everything, is resolved really well here. And there's some of the most realistic bass guitar sounds that I've heard out of a headphone because of that. So the resolution really through the entire frequency range is very excellent on here. And I also like that it's somewhat subtle. Like, it's not resolution being pushed at you in your face all of the time like some other highly resolving cans can do. It actually took me a little bit to understand that this actually is, in fact, comfortably more resolving than even some other Focals. Like, I did a review of the Radiance a little while ago, and it took a bit to understand how much more resolving this is. And it is significantly more resolving than the Radiance. It just didn't initially present that way, and it was very subtle. So I did figure that out in time, though, and this is a significant step up in that regard. So, I mean, overall, I liked the sound of this headphone quite a bit. It does have that mid forward signature, but I mean the bass is not elevated or like it's not a bass shelf like the Radiance has or anything. It's there. It's extended. It's punchy. It's dynamic. There's good bass pitch articulation, all that. And again, I mean, I will say it again. It punches. Like it is a focal trait. This being at least the fourth focal headphone that I have heard and had some time with. Like they all punch. That macro dynamic. They'll hit you hard. And this one certainly is right there with them. All that. So I mean, for $3,000 and being a closed back, the spatial presentation is great. Resolution is great. The one quibble I have with the sound is that it does have that forwardness in the upper mids, lower treble that can mess up the timbre a little bit and make vocals and some instruments just sound a little unnatural and a little too aggressive through that range. But even for me, who, if you saw my video about my hearing quirks, like I do not like shoutiness, honkiness, hollowness in the mids. But even this can here, it does it, but it's not all that offensive when it happens, in my opinion. Like I still overall really like this headphone, even with that drawback there, because the resolution and the bass extension and the physicality and all of that are pretty good and redeeming qualities for this one. So those are my thoughts on the sound. Like it is pretty mobile friendly. These are easy to drive, 35 ohm drivers with 106 dB per milliwatt sensitivity. So you can power this with just about anything, which is good. Because Focal does seem like they intend for this to be a mobile on-the-go type of headphone. And I generally agree because, yeah, it isolates well, it stays on the head well, and it's really easy to drive with DAPs and mobile amps and that sort of thing. The only complaint that I have is like all focals, like it doesn't get any smaller than this. There's no way to collapse it down or fold it up so that it's smaller. And like focals, again, I had another one, like my Radiance is back here too. Like they are all can spreaders. They're like this. And so then you put them in their carrying case, and this one here is not the Radiance carrying case, but they're all the same. Like Focal sends the same carrying case, just of a different color with every model. And this doesn't fit very well into a backpack or a suitcase or something like that. So that's the one area where I think it falls down a little bit on being travel, mobile, on-the-go friendly. It's just, it takes up a little bit too much room in the backpack. But once it's on your head and you're moving around, like it stays on well, it isolates well, and you can put your head down and look over a desk and all that. It's pretty comfortable, has just the right amount of clamp to keep it securely on the head without it falling off, all that. So yeah, good headphone. The price does seem a little bit steep, but you do get some truly impressive performance in a closed back headphone for that price, and it looks good and sounds good, which I think I've said before. So yeah, I mean, overall thumbs up. I wish it didn't have that little bit of upper mid-range forwardness, but again, nothing is perfect. Otherwise, I can recommend this one fairly comfortably. So if you're in the market for a high-end closed back and that needs to be easy to drive and that you wear for extended periods of time, like it's hard to go wrong with this one. All right, I am Wave Theory, and that's my Focal Stellia video review. So I do have a written review of this, which I will post the link to down below. And then, of course, please like and subscribe to my channel and do all of those things. I have a Focal shootout coming up soon where I do some more detailed comparisons with this and the Radiance, and I have the Clear MG around too. So stay tuned for that if you are interested. So otherwise, thanks for your time, and until next time, enjoy the music.